Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, another absolutely gorgeous day out, and this is where we saw the moose just the other day, so hopefully we can see one again, or maybe we won't. Chances are we're not going to, but maybe we'll see a fluff along the way. So come along with me on my morning walk and let's talk some news. So first up on the docket, we're talking about PlayStation 2 emulation on Android with PCSX2 ARM64. Now it's worth pointing out that PCSX2 ARM64 is not sanctioned by the PCSX2 team. It's not affiliated with them directly. Indirectly, it's a fork of PCSX2 that someone and now some people are trying to make work on Android. Now, for the record, we've talked about PCSX2 ARM64 in previous videos. The parent GitHub here is by Pontos 2024. And now the GitHub is being forked and people are trying their own hand at it. Now, I would say that one of the more popular forks of the fork is Trixarian's PCSX2 ARM64 GitHub repository, which is forked from Pontos 2024. And Trixarian does have some builds up and available. However, unless I'm mistaken, there appears to be another fork on the way here. Unfortunately, I don't have access to this GitHub. I don't know what it is, but I do have a screenshot that someone took and sent in. So like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. And unfortunately for this one, I only have a screenshot, and I'll leave a link to that as well. So here's the announcement. Good morning. Today I have an exciting announcement to share with you. A good friend of mine, MadePower, has decided to try his hand at porting a new PS2 emulator for Android, forking from this repository, and then they link PCSX2 ARM64. Moon will be doing his best to fill in the gaps and make this into a complete emulator with the goal to have version parity with PCSX2 and XPSX2. I'd also like to mention that this project is not officially associated with PCSX2, and we are not associated with any other forks made from the original repository. They then say, this is our own attempt at continuing PS2 emulation on Android, but we need testers and we need feedback. The emulator currently operates as x86 ARM64, not native ARM64, so the performance will not be as good as AetherSX2 currently. However, things are subject to change as development goes on. I'm not going to lie here, I am very curious to see where the PS2 emulation on Android scene goes from here. I mean, it seems the base for pretty much everything is going to be that PCSX2 ARM64 GitHub repository. And I'm curious to see if people can make it better than AetherSX2, since AetherSX2 was basically abandoned or shut down. People have been looking for an alternative to continue on with PS2 emulation on Android, and this may be one of the big steps towards that. And continuing to talk about forks of things, next up we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation and Citron. And it seems as if Citron development is continuing on and they're releasing a brand new beta. And for those wondering, yes, that is a sunrise behind me. It's beautiful and it's a gorgeous morning, and hopefully it's not shining directly into your eyes. If it is, I'll relocate at some point in time when it gets a little bit brighter. But as for right now, just enjoy it. So there's a big announcement over on Reddit Citron, and they say here, the Citron Beta 0.7 is available for anyone in the Discord with verified Switch owner role and level 10 activity. The campaign lasts until August the 12th, and anyone that gains access keeps it unless they are inactive. We need all the logs we can get to improve stability for the 20.0 firmware and updates that came out since. So based on what I'm seeing here, Citron, well, those birds are loud. Citron is looking for testers. They're looking to continue on, and they're looking for verified Switch owners. And speaking about continuing on, next up we're talking about the complete opposite. We're talking about something shutting down, and this one may surprise you. I was kind of surprised to see the service still running. Anyways, it's being reported that AOL, America Online, or Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, depending on how you wanted to interpret that, will end dial-up internet service in September, 34 years after its debut. AOL Shield browser and AOL Dialer software will be shuttered on the same day. Now, I'm not going to lie here. I didn't realize that AOL 56K was still available. That is one heck of a run, 34 years. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below. I will say the noise of the 56K modem connecting is ingrained in my memory, and I'll never forget how it sounds. But moving on from that, and next up here, we're talking about Peak. Now, for those who may not be aware, Peak is a very popular game right now. It's being played a lot on stream. Over on Steam, it's got a very positive review score. And taking a look, it's not actually that expensive. It's like $10 overall, possibly even less if you're in the States. It's $10.50 in Canada. And as for the description of the game, Peak is a co-op climbing game where the slightest mistake can spell your doom. Either solo or as a group of lost nature scouts, your only hope of rescue from a mysterious island is to scale the mountain at its center. Do you have what it takes to reach the peak? Interestingly here, they are encouraging piracy over picking up a clone. Now, no surprise here, there are some clones and knockoffs of the game that are appearing online trying to capitalize off the success of Peak. Peak is an indie game, and some of these clones and knockoffs have some pretty clever names. I mean, one of them here is Cliff. So the publisher here, AgroCrab, says, to be honest, would rather you pirate our game than play this microtransaction-riddled Roblox slop ripoff. So there you have it. Not gonna lie, it's probably pretty easy for a lot of people to mistake Cliff as Peak. And Cliff already seems to have over 163,000 visits. So I would recommend checking out Peak instead. And I would recommend giving Peak a try, given its very attractive price point and the fact that it's an indie game. And speaking about indie games, next up we're shifting from indie to AAA and talking about Battlefield 6. Now, we talked about Battlefield 6 in yesterday's video, where they admitted they had a cheating problem, despite the fact that they had very invasive measures for anti-cheating, including kernel level stuff and TPM stuff. Anyways, I'm not going to go down that path. It seems that Battlefield has been extremely successful so far, eclipsing Call of Duty. It's worth noting here that this is just an open beta, but taking a look here over on SteamDB, and Battlefield 6 Open Beta has a 24-hour peak of 521,079 players playing at the exact same time. And that is better than all of the Call of Duties have ever done on PC. Now, for the record, taking a look over at SteamDB, and Call of Duty peaked at 491,670 people playing at the exact same time. So that is very good for Battlefield 6. I would say EA is probably extremely thrilled at those numbers. Now, I would say here, and maybe this is a hot take, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But I would say the success of Battlefield 6, whether or not you like EA or Battlefield 6, is good for the genre. I think it introduces serious competition now for Call of Duty. And I think Call of Duty is really going to have to think about their next release and what they can do to surpass Battlefield 6. I mean, I would say competition is great. It's even like the battles between Intel and AMD. Competition is great between AMD and NVIDIA. Again, competition is great because when there's no competition, then there's no incentive to really improve. You own the market. And speaking about competition, next up we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on macOS with Hydra. And it seems Hydra just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 0.0.4 of Hydra is the latest update. And they say here that HB Loader is now used to load homebrew applications. HB Menu now works and is able to load applications, requires firmware. And the Super Mario World app is the first emulator inside an emulator to work on Hydra, even with audio. And as for gaming improvements, they say Hollow Knight's title screen is now rendering, though it loads infinitely afterwards. Minecraft's story mode title screen is rendering almost perfectly. Elliot Quest is almost perfect except for the horrible frame rates, and many more. And they did a complete rewrite of the shader decompiler with this release. Hydra is open source, it's up on GitHub, and like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. Next up, we're talking about Mario Kart 64 on Dreamcast. We've talked about this one in previous videos with someone undertaking the, I don't want to say Herculean effort, but very interesting effort. Let's just say that. A lot of work. Someone is porting, wow, that sun is bright. I'm going to just turn this way. Someone is porting Mario Kart 64 to the Sega Dreamcast. There's been a lot of progress, and it has been released. If you are interested in checking this one out, Video Game Esoterica has a new video showcasing the game in action. And I would say Mario Kart 64 running on the Dreamcast is pretty impressive. In fact, they're already porting Star Fox 64 to the Dreamcast, and I'm very curious to see what games come next. I wouldn't be surprised to see a large chunk of the N64 library eventually get ported to the Dreamcast. And on a side note here, if you do check out Video Game Esoterica's video, I would recommend checking out the description of that video because there are some very interesting links. And they also say here, Sega really does what Nintendo don't. Let me know your thoughts about that one. And last up here, we're talking about Amazon Prime Gaming, and this is more of just a friendly heads up. If you've got Amazon Prime, make sure to check out Amazon Prime Gaming, and this is not an ad for the service. This is just letting you know that they give away free games quite a bit, and oftentimes, more often than not anyway, they are on GOG. So right now for August, there are some pretty big games available for free. If you are interested in this one and wanted to see a comprehensive list, VGC has you covered, or you can just head on over to Amazon Prime Gaming. Anyways here, available now, Sid Meier's Civilization 3 Complete on GOG. Thief Definitive Edition over on GOG. As of August 14th, available over on GOG is Fate the Traitor Soul, Tin Hearts and Necro King. And on August 21st, Silverbox Classics is on GOG. August 28th is Heroes of Loot 2 and Fantasy Empires. I would say here, probably worth checking out Amazon Prime Gaming if you already have Amazon Prime. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. I mean, there were a lot of birds around. There's a couple fish that jumped in the water, but unfortunately no moose this time. We had our epic moose spotting just the other day, and to me that was a memory I will never forget. It was a beautiful morning, the moose swimming right across the lake, and that's something you don't see every day. Anyways, we talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.